Yeah, 7 months in, it's flown by really. I guess the highlight I have to say is I spent the first 2.5, 3 months of that time actually staying in one of our hotels. So my family and I relocated from Melbourne to Amsterdam, and we lived at the Residence Inn at Houthavens as one of Cycas' hotels for 3 months, and it was just a wonderful opportunity to see the very best of Cycas. And you may say that's because I'm the CEO, but I got to see the interactions with my family, with all the guests in the hotel, and the love and the incredible warmth and hospitality that the team showed. So for me, huge highlight and a great privilege to kind of experience that. I think in terms of challenges, the Cycas has grown and is continuing to grow really fast. I think since we founded in 2008, we've grown at something like a 37 or 38% CAGR, so 38% growth year on year on year, and our forecast is to carry on doing that for the next few years. And essentially our job is to bring together a pipeline of wonderful hotels and a pipeline of amazing talent, and matching those two things up is essentially our business model, and it's the success of our business. So the challenge and the joy in this role is to do those two things: pipeline of talent, pipeline of hotels. Yeah, so Cycas took a decision really a couple of years ago before I came along to broaden its scope. So we've been focused very much as being an extended stay hotel specialist really in the UK market. We've evolved substantially in the last few years and are now we now operate hotels across the full spectrum, from limited service mid-scale hotels to full service and lifestyle hotels in the upper upscale space. Still very much with an extended stay core of our business, and the service ethos that comes from extended stay just transfers across that broader remit. Also geographically spread, so we now operate in 5 countries, so Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, France and the UK. And we've got really ambitious growth plans across those 5 countries and sort of more broadly across Western Europe. So our pipeline now, if you include our open and pipeline hotels, about 2/3 of our rooms are not extended stay, so one of the other segments, and we're getting pretty close to having as much as half of our portfolio outside of the UK, which is a real broadening of the business from where we were. So as I said, it's a Western European focus. That wouldn't preclude us from managing hotels in other key cities towards Eastern Europe. I would say though, of the major countries that we don't operate in today, probably Spain and Portugal are the Iberian peninsula is the area that if the right opportunity came up, we'd be really excited to pursue. But doubling down in our existing countries is really the main focus. Yeah, it's certainly proven to be a fantastic model, both here in Stratford, when we did our first double-decker, as we call it, with the Staybridge Suites and Holiday Inn. Since this one opened, I think 60%, so most of the Staybridge Suites that have opened subsequently, that IHG have opened, have been part of double-decker developments, some of which with us, some with other people. And we've done the same then with the other brands we work with. So most of our 60% of our residence inns that we operate with Marriott are part of double-decker developments, and we also have a double-decker Hyatt house which we're opening at Paris Charles de Gaulle, so doing the same with Hyatt too. So the logic certainly makes sense to us, and we're seeing it more broadly in the market as well. It's just a nice synergy, particularly with extended stay and a full or limited service counterpart. It's interesting. The extended stay market has evolved a lot in recent years, and I think one of the factors behind that has been Airbnb. So people often talk about Airbnb and its sort of negative impact on the hotel industry. Actually, I think Airbnb has opened people's minds to the idea of extended stay hotels in terms of the facilities you have. And actually people have started to recognise extended stay as a really nice kind of sweet spot in between the facilities of Airbnb, but the hospitality and the security that you get from a regular hotel. So extended stay, I think, has started to really boom in Europe, just as it has done in the US over the last 15 years. But ironically, not necessarily exclusively with long stay guests, long stay corporate guests, which kind of is the the sort of the origins of the model. I think it works for all sorts of people. It works for families traveling on leisure. It works for one night corporate travelers. It's just a really nice kind of proposition to guests that can work in different situations. Yeah, honestly, I think it's just a timing question. I think the European hotel sector, branded hotel sector, has always operated at a bit of a lag to the US, and we've seen, as you just said, that in the US, extended stay is the fastest growing sector in the market. I could imagine us following that over the next 10 to 15 years in Europe, and I think it's just taking a bit of time for all of the brands kind of unleash their particular extended stay brands into Europe. But certainly the ones who have done, particularly Marriott with Residence Inn, I think are seeing real growth with that. Yeah, it's interesting. Just last night I was at the opening of our newest extended stay hotel, which is branded with an Australian operator called Quest. And this is the biggest hotel brand in Australia across any segment, but they're very, very focused on long stay business travellers. And in some ways the room product's similar to a Staybridge Suites or a Residence Inn, but there are other differences. So the public areas are much smaller, breakfast isn't part of the package, and the rooms are kitted out to maybe a notch higher specification, including washing machines actually in the guest rooms. And it just really focuses very squarely on the corporate traveller, and it's a nice, I think, addition to the market here, and a nice addition to kind of Cycas's portfolio in terms of the solutions we have for different types of guests.